I never thought I would say this, but we aren't producing enough courgettes or zucchini. Normally, anyone who grows this crop ends up with too many, and we usually have trouble using them all, but not right now. We planted 20 courgette plants outside this year in the no-till trial beds, and I thought that would end up being too many, but I was basing that assumption on plants that had grown in the past in better soil conditions. About a month ago, there were too many courgettes, but now we are not harvesting enough to satisfy the demand, which is a very strange thing for this crop, especially when the weather has been quite good. And that has been part of the problem, as the weather has been relatively warm and dry with not enough rainfall for these thirsty plants, and we haven't been watering these beds enough. I could blame being away from the gardens for a while or being too busy with other things, but I also wanted to see what would happen with these no-till trial beds if we left them mostly alone for the first season. Some of the plants are really stunted and showing signs of significant nutrient deficiencies, especially with nitrogen, which is likely made worse by the lack of adequate soil moisture, which could restrict the soil biology that we've been relying on to feed these plants. But it is also a useful indication of how these different no-till methods that we've used have responded to the drier conditions, at least in this first season. The sections mulched with wood chip and municipal compost have been less successful, and I've been surprised that the sections mulched with hay and straw have not done better in the drier conditions. But the plants are growing best in the section where the layer of fertile soil and a bit of compost had been added on top of the ground. The section where I would have expected the most evaporation or water loss, but also possibly had the best amount of fertility at the beginning of the year, is growing the strongest plants. I think this indicates that the fertility could be the main issue this year, not the dry conditions, and that the other methods would have benefited from even more fertility either at the beginning of the season or as the plants have been growing. We're also growing 4 different varieties of courgettes, and some of them are doing better than others, and one variety, which was apparently bred more for container growing, is really struggling in all the sections. So we currently don't have enough strong courgette plants that are growing really well to be able to produce enough courgettes. So it is time to intervene, and I've been starting to water these plants with a liquid feed that is relatively high in nitrogen, hoping that most of the plants will respond fairly quickly to both the moisture and the fertility. And hopefully they will end up producing a lot more courgettes for the next month, or at least until the first frost.